So this video will talk about access options, and it's basically a way to set up your database so that it behaves in certain manners for your users and for yourself as you're programming. To get to access objects, we close the welcome form, go over here to File, scroll down to Options, and on the left-hand side of the screen, we'll work our way from top to bottom of the different capabilities and things that you should be aware of as you can customize some of these options. So things that I would care about is I'd make sure that my name and my initials are captured correctly here in the general section. There's additional things that you can read through on this web page, but the minor piece that I care about on this is just making sure username and initials is correct. On the next tab, for the current database, things that I would do. So by default, it's got the application title in here. If you want the file name to show up at the top of the application, right here you see the same title, Contact Management Database. If you want the title to show up, Contact Management Database, and here's the version number with the file extension, then you need to clear out the title value. It won't change until we hit the OK button, and in some cases we might have to restart the computer. We can create an icon and leverage that whenever this form is up and database is up. As you're going through things, we can set it up where windows that show up overlap. Right now, when a new window opens, it shows up as another tab, and that's how it's controlled from this button right here. There's additional options captured here, and you can read through all of that information and make some other decisions if you want to. The next sheet is Datasheet. So this sets up when you're building your forms, how does it need to behave and appear. So we've got grid lines that show up when we're in design view. The cells are flat as opposed to raised on the form or sunken. There's a default width, and then you can change the font and how it behaves. On Object Designers, this allows you to set the default values for fields. So short text, but we could change it to something else as the default. How large do you want that field to be? And this plays into larger databases when you're trying to ensure that you don't have too much space consumed by the database for fields that don't need that information. Indexing is another capability that we can discuss later on. The next piece is selection behavior. So when I'm trying to build a form and I want to grab an object that's on the form, right now it says I've got to get the entire box in order to select it. I typically will change it to partially enclosed so that it's easier to pick objects out and edit. So that'd be the one minor change that I would make here. As you're building out forms and reports, sometimes you might find that you've got a template that you want to leverage. This would allow you to make adjustments to the default templates that you are leveraging when you're building new objects. Then on proofing, want to make sure that you've got the right spell checking behaviors going in. So some people like to type in all uppercase. I'd want to make sure that my spell checking is ensuring that it's checking all uppercase values. Ignoring words that contain numbers, I would want to ensure that I'm checking words that contain numbers, because those could be spelling errors. So those would be the checks that I would worry about there. Language is set to the default for English. On client settings, we want to make sure that we're leveraging all the right behaviors. So what happens when you hit the enter button? What do you want the cursor to do, and how do you want it to behave? Do you want it to select the entire field, go to the first location of the first field within that value, go to the last field? How do you want the computer to search? Directional search, left to right, top to bottom. When you're doing printing, how do you want the margins to be? So 1/4 inch. When you're opening up this database, let's pretend that you're in a shared environment. Do you want to allow others to open it up with you, or should you open it up exclusively? If you open it up with other users using it, do you want to lock the record that you're currently on, or the record, or all records within the table that you're looking at and potentially editing? Good techniques to figure out once you get into a shared environment. You have the ability to customize the ribbons that are at the top of the form by default, by coming to this interface here, finding the command that you're looking for, and then moving it into the appropriate tab at the appropriate level. You can create new groups to show up at the top of your form. And then lastly, for this capability, you also have the ability to create a quick access toolbar. Right now, that quick access toolbar is in the upper left. We've got the closed database, but if we wanted another object to show up in the upper left, you can identify the command that you want to bring over and then add it to this quick access toolbar, and it will then be available in the upper left of your form. And then when you click OK, it will then tell you, so in this case here, that I've got to close and reopen the database before those changes take effect. And so I'll do that. And so now the changes that I've applied are available to me, and those behaviors will occur as applicable whenever I'm on the forms that I'm on.